The Dallas Cowboys are making a genius hiring here. I know a lot of guys, a lot of fans don't love their head coach hiring, but deciding to go out there and bring in a really good defensive coordinator and former Bears head coach, Matt Eberflus. Now in this video, we're going to break down the pros, we're going to break down the cons, but more importantly, I'm going to break down why I believe this is a genius, outstanding hire for a Cowboys defense who desperately needed to find the replacement of Dan Quinn and Joe Witt Jr. Now, before we break down, I do want to give you guys the tweet. According to Jordan Schultz and according to Tom Pelissero, the Cowboys are expected to hire former Bears head coach Matt Eberflus as their new defensive coordinator under Brian Schottenheimer. This will be a return to Dallas for Eberflus, who was their linebacker coach back in 2011 up to 2017 before he took a job with the Indianapolis Colts, where he proved to the entire league this dude was a really smart defensive coordinator. Now let's break down the biggest pros why I love this hiring here for the Dallas Cowboys. Now, after Matt Eberflus decided to leave the Dallas Cowboys back in 2017, he was actually hired with the Indianapolis Colts from 2018 to 2021, where he held one of the best defenses in football in terms of points allowed per game. In 4 seasons, 3 out of those 4, he ranked within the top 10 of points allowed per game. He also ranked within the top 10 2 out of 4 years in terms of yards allowed per game as well, including a 2018 season where they ranked 11th, 2019 they ranked 19th, and then 2020 ranked 7th best in football in yards allowed per game, and then went on to 2021 where they ranked number 8th in football in terms of yards allowed per game. Now, after proving he was a great defensive-minded coach, the Chicago Bears decided to give him a shot as a full-time head coach, which ultimately became a massive issue because, let's just be honest, being a head coach compared to a DC is a lot of work, and for some people, they're just not ready to take on the responsibility of 1, leading an offense, and 2, maintaining a defense that was really good throughout his career thus far. So I believe it was just way too much on his plate, and the offense for Chicago just never really maintained consistency. But the good thing is, in Dallas, the offense doesn't really matter. They just need their defense to be better and where it was under Dan Quinn and Joe Witt Jr. Now, let's just talk about the biggest pro. When you go back a couple of years ago, Trayvon Diggs and Deron Bland were 2 of the best cornerbacks in the NFL. Both have led the league in interceptions in different seasons, but more importantly, this defense has guys that are absolute ball hawks, and you can't deny the fact of that, right? But more importantly, Matt Eberflus fits in perfectly with that type of defense. Now, with his time in Indianapolis, he actually ranked in the top 10 for takeaways in each of his 4 seasons as their defensive coordinator. Specifically, they were noted for being in the top 10 for both interceptions and fumble recoveries. But when he went on to Chicago, his defense got even better. In 2024, after taking over play calling duties, the Bears defense generated 28 turnovers. 28 turnovers. Once he took over those play calling duties and led the league with 22 interceptions. From week 5 of the 23 season on, they ranked 1st in the NFL in interceptions, highlighting a unreal turnaround, right? You go from not having him calling plays to now calling plays, and now you're the best defense in terms of takeaways. Yeah, that just doesn't happen off luck. Now, real quickly, before we get back into the video and break down even more pros and cons of what he could be or could not be here in Dallas, do me a big time favor, guys. Hit the like button if you want a part 2 to this video where we actually go in depth, break down some of his film from the Bears defense defensively, and show you exactly what you're getting film wise. But more importantly, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel if you're new. It is free, it doesn't cost anything, and we will be breaking down the Dallas Cowboys offseason entirely. Free agent signings, film analysis, trades, whoever you guys add, film analysis, whoever you guys draft, film analysis. So make sure you guys join the family, and then obviously we'll cover mini camp, training camp, rookie camp, everything. Got you covered. Join the family, and let's kind of dive back into why I believe Matt Eberflus is a good pickup here for the defense. Now, this might be the biggest factor of them all, right? We already talked about forcing turnovers, and that is extremely important as a defensive coordinator to be able to do. But one thing the Cowboys really struggled with and didn't seem like there was any fixing it was the run defense. Overall this year, despite a late improvement from the Cowboys, they ranked 31st overall in the NFL in allowing 138.6 rushing yards per game, which is unbelievably terrible. Unbelievable. I don't even understand how they allowed that, but they did. And according to a lot of sources, and if you go and look at the stats, it's very true. Back with Indianapolis, Matt Eberflus was actually known for having success in building strong run defenses, ranking top 10 in rushing yards allowed in each year that he was with Indianapolis, when he was able to specifically just focus on their defense and, creating turnovers and whatnot. Now, another major factor, his success with linebackers, obviously being with Dallas a couple of years ago, or a while ago, working with guys like Jalen Smith, who he was at the peak of his career when Matt Eberflus was there, Sean Lee, another guy, right, Darius Leonard. But now you come into a team with some really young linebackers that need a lot of developing and are good, don't get me wrong, but man, they can get even better. You talk about a guy like Damone Clark. You talk about a guy like DeMarvion Overshown, right? Or Overshawn. You got Martist, Liafu. I'm going to be butchering these names, so I really do apologize. Darius Harris, Buddy Johnson, obviously Micah Parsons. I think him coming in here, really being able to specifically work with the defense, the run defense, creating turnovers, and then developing these linebackers alone, I think should make this Cowboys defense 20 times better going into next season. Now, as for the last reason this could be good is the Dallas Cowboys have been known to run a lot of cover 3, especially on early downs, and as the year started to progress going into 2022 and 2023, the teams really started to implement a little bit less man and more zone, which is what Matt Eberflus really likes to do, known for employing a zone coverage, Tampa 2 type of defense, and he's been pretty, efficient in this specific defense. But if we really lock in and talk about Matt Eberflus and the cons of bringing him in, I would say, he's got some question marks in late game situations, but again, that was as a head coach. He had some really big question marks as a, as a head coach in Chicago, in Chicago with his run defense. The run defense in Chicago was terrible, but again, he wasn't the DC. He wasn't specifically putting all his attention in that basket. So again, I don't know if you can compare it to him going back to being a full-time defensive coordinator. Can he adapt? That is something we don't really know too much. Hopefully we can see soon. And again, I think he's not really known too much to blitz the quarterback as a DC. So with Micah Parsons, you have to drop some blitzes. We're going to have to be able to adapt to this new type of looking team with new type of players. But again, at the end of the day, I think Matt Eberflus is a great addition. I think he fits in almost perfectly for what they need, and now that he gets to focus on being a defensive coordinator over everything else, I think this is going to go down as a massive signing or hiring. Hit the like button, subscribe, join the family, and I'll see you guys in the part 2 where we break down some of his film as a defensive coordinator.